Saifo Mthembu grew up in the township of Alexandra, just outside Johannesburg. Life was never easy, but for a while, it was manageable. His mother ran a tiny food stand near the taxi rank, selling pap and stew to drivers and workers. His father, once a miner, had passed away when Saifo was 9, leaving a silence in the house that echoed louder than any sound. By 17, Saifo had already seen more than most kids his age. He had watched friends fall into crime, others fade into addiction. He had spent nights pretending not to hear his mother cry in the next room, quietly counting the coins in her apron to see if they'd eat the next day. But despite everything, Saifo had a dream. He wanted to build things. Since he was a child, he had been fascinated by how things worked. He'd once fixed a broken bicycle using parts from 3 different junked ones. He loved watching construction crews in the city, wondering how buildings rose from nothing but dust and sweat. School was his one escape. He wasn't the top student, but he showed up every day, finished his work, and kept mostly to himself. But life, it seemed, had other plans. When his mother fell ill and couldn't work, the weight of survival fell on his shoulders. He dropped out in the middle of his final year to take a job in a scrapyard. The work was brutal, long hours, dangerous equipment, little pay. But he told himself it was temporary. Just until things got better. Only things didn't get better. Months turned into years. Saifo worked from sunrise to sunset, covered in oil and dust, hands blistered from dragging rusted metal. He grew quieter, angrier. The boy who once fixed bicycles for fun had become a young man just trying to make it through the week. And then, one day, the accident happened. A rusted beam slipped from a loader and crushed Saifo's foot. The injury wasn't life-threatening, but it was enough to take away his job and send him limping back home with no money, no plan, and a growing sense of worthlessness. For weeks, Saifo stayed indoors, bitter and ashamed. His friends were gone. His dreams felt childish. And his mother, frail but always steady, simply sat beside him and hummed old lullabies from her village days. One evening, as the sun sank behind the shacks and the smell of coal fires filled the air, she placed a small box in front of him. It was filled with his old projects, sketches of homemade go-karts, drawings of engines, a plastic model of a house he'd built from scrap. Saifo stared at them, the edges worn, the colors faded. "I kept them," she said softly. "Because even when the road breaks, you can still walk. Maybe not the way you planned, but maybe better." That night, something inside him stirred. Slowly, painfully, he began to build again. Not with bricks or steel, but with purpose. He enrolled in a free online engineering course through a community center. It was hard, his foot still ached, and money was tighter than ever, but he showed up. Every lesson, every module, every practice test. He volunteered to fix broken fans and radios around the neighborhood, just to get his hands working again. Word spread. People came to him for help. And for the first time in a long time, he didn't feel invisible. By the time he was 24, Saifo earned a scholarship to a local technical college. His professors were stunned by his hands-on knowledge and relentless curiosity. He spent weekends mentoring kids in his old neighborhood, teaching them how to take apart a toaster and put it back together, not because they needed to, but because they could. Years later, Saifo opened his own small repair and design shop. He called it Abunzima Designs, meaning from struggle in isiZulu. On the walls, he hung blueprints from his first college projects and a photo of his mother standing proudly in front of his shop the day it opened. And every now and then, when a kid from the township walked in wide-eyed and full of wonder, Saifo would hand him a screwdriver and say, "Let's build something." Because his road had broken, yes, but it hadn't ended. It had simply led him here. To purpose.